going to say that for most survival situations, having a gun will not help. A lot of people try to practice for inevitabilities that'll never fucking happen. I don't get why people want to become masters at certain things. There are certain things that passable is good enough. For most of us, we don't need to finally hone our skills to shoot a basket from half court. Just not something we need to do. We're not all going to be playing for the NBA. But being able to shoot a game of basketball to blow off some steam, even if you always suck, as long as you fucking enjoy it. But knowing how to do it, that's possibly a useful skill. It is not, however, a skill that I learned. We're going to start off with Otzi the Iceman. I found out that um, there's a bunch of rules and laws and regulations about the children that the government and their employees abuse in the system growing up. They tag you with mentally ill, and there's a lot of shit you're not allowed to do. Now, I didn't find out this stuff until later in life. It was after I had already gotten rid of my firearms because I was homeless. And I was told, dude, you aren't allowed to fucking own firearms. I was told that by a police officer. I said, why not? He said, well, you and I have been talking for a while. You've been in a mental institution, right? I'm like, yeah. He said, well, you've also had psychotropics. I mean, you're always talking to me about those, and like, you're pretty straightforward with me. But it was good to know. But that was the point where I started learning how to. Well, since I can't own a firearm, I got to figure out how to get me some food the old-fashioned way. It comes down to old-fashioned crap. Copy link address. I don't know if this one is a good one or one that's semi-okay, but this one is linked to a primitive Otzi the Iceman's bow. There's also his fire kit. What's the reason for learning how to do this stuff? I don't carry a knife with me anywhere, you know? So, let's see. Here's the Canadian Iceman's knife, it says. Copy link address. Now, I learned the Otzi the Iceman one, and I also learned a couple of. There's a method where if you get the right kind of rock, you just smash off along the shale of it, and there'll be a sharp edge on it, and you can use that for your knife for fucking ever. A lot of the stuff that you see, the really fancy, nice flint napping around the edges, a lot of times that was just over time. You might try to reuse the same arrow 2 or 3 times. That's one of the ways they're able to tell if arrows have been fired and reused and look that way because of that, or if it was somebody in modern day who just whittled it down to nothing. It doesn't hold the dirt in the right ways, and it doesn't have the right wear on the portions that are whittled down. Now, then from there, you want to eventually advance to the Iron Age, right? Well, this is one of a great many tutorials that you can get. Smelting iron from rocks. If you do something in person and have hands-on experience, it's no longer in the realm of fantasy. You stop saying, I can't. A lot of people who are telling me they can't, well, they never tried. which is what sucks about a lot of these people. I do believe that at one point in time they did care about me. And there's a lot of them who thought they were doing the right thing. But life happens. Here's one. It says iron from sand. Train. If I get stuck somewhere, I know how to identify the rocks that are most useful. Sandstone. Sandstone is probably the most useful stone for getting iron out of. I mean, number one, you've got an element around it that as you crush it, it doesn't want to hold to the iron very well. And it's easy to tell how much iron content is in the sandstone. If it's white sandstone, you're not going to have hardly any in there. If it's red sandstone, then you're going to have some in there. If it's black sandstone, there's a lot. Usually. It's important to find out what's in your area. It only takes a few minutes to find out what rocks are usually in your area. As far as flint knapping goes, because I don't carry a knife, since I know how to do it, and I've done flint knapping before, not very well. I fucking suck at it, but if I needed to make a knife, I could. If it's a situation where I really, really fucking need a knife, yes, I can make one. Pretty much anybody can. The reason that I don't carry one is because people are fucking paranoid. People use that as an excuse. See, here's the world that I grew up in. Late 80s and early 90s, kids that I was going to school with were going to jail for having a G.I. Joe fucking pistol this goddamn big, okay? Seriously. It's like after the 1980s when they fucking wanted to rape us all like we were fucking, oh my fucking God. And then all of those goddamn drugs. You ever seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? You really should look at that. The world we live in and the people who, when they have a bad day or they just feel like taking their anger out on somebody, if they got a position of power, they can do it. And it's horrible. Always wanted to get away from people. So, this right here is a cob house, a basic, simple one. Personally, if I was to do that house, I would make it double walled and I would make them right next to each other. The reason for that is because the thicker it is, the better off your heating and cooling it's going to be. And that stuff is absolutely amazing. It's not at all like cement. Cement is cold. Pretty well stays that way. There's a lot of different things that I've personally done, and these right here, these videos might be other people's variations on it. Most of the stuff that I did, I didn't learn from videos. I learned it from just being in the woods and being bored and being interested. Shows how to make his quiver. See, copy link address. This one right here is OT the Iceman's flint knife. Once you learn how to make that paste that he uses, that's the cool stuff. It's called pitch glue. Any idiot can make it. You guys could learn the method in 5 minutes of watching a YouTube video. And if shit happens, well, you got that information. Or if you just want to go out and get the hell away from everybody eventually, or there's something like this going on, or even worse, let's say Ebola hit the United States. Holy hell. It's pretty scary. All right. Um, Depending on your terrain, there are a lot of really old friggin' houses. I mean, there's also a lot of different ways to make them. A lot of people are looking towards this Armageddon end of the world, and it's all bullets and ammo and bullets and ammo and bullets and ammo and bullets and ammo. Well, in a world full of assholes like that, it's probably pretty important to learn how to use bullets and ammo. Even if you never owned a gun before, even if you hate them, even if you don't think anybody should be allowed to have them, at least take the time to learn how to shoot one. The safety of it, just in case, please. And don't just go out and buy one. Go to a range, go to a professional, and have them teach you how to do it safely. One thing that you can do, and this might sound absolutely fucking absurd, but explain to them that you want to try it on something plastic so they can teach you. This right here is plastic. Don't take it in like this. Take it in a gun case like this. They can probably teach you how to manage and explain to you well enough with that that you would never have to actually handle a real firearm. If you absolutely insist. Cops, they really do often know a lot about guns. They are often a good resource as far as learning how to manage them safely. There is how to make a thatch house. Oh, here's a Saxon house. Might as well learn that. Most of the houses that I learned how to make are very similar. So I'll copy link address. It looks like they're using a little bit more modern tools than a lot of the stuff I learned. But if you learn how to make the iron, then you can make those tools yourself. So here you go. Most of the stuff I was interested in when I was younger, it was all Japanese stuff. Oh my God, I love Japanese stuff. I also really like boats. So let's see. We will start off with, oh my God, Time Team. It's British, but you guys can probably manage. It's totally cool stuff. Um, Bronze Age boats. I'm not sure if I'm gonna say this right, but it's a bunch of old. Is it codgers? Is that right? Some of the stuff they say. So I'm going to show you some Bronze Age boats before I show you what I learned about. Let's see. The boats that made Britain. I believe that's it. I'm going to show you a little bit of something. This right here was built with the OC, the Iceman tools. No joke. Let's see, the Iceman had copper tools. We got something that's actually quite a bit better and even cheaper. But let's see. Here's one that's pretty interesting. It's you guys might not like Frenchies, and I'll forgive you for that. I know throughout history a lot of the things that they've done for us. Right here, this is Gedron Castle. They don't have a very big staff. They decided upon a 25-year working project load, and it's massive though. I mean, they call it a small castle, and it is in comparison, but it's stuff that they're building literally with the land that they're standing on, using all of the skills that I just showed you and not much else. If you were able to pass 8th grade math, then you can build a castle. Fusions are a little longer. They're not just a few minutes. It's the fine details. Now we'll take you to a different boat. All right. Now there's some boats at the Mines Museum, I believe it is. Or no, it would be the Mines Museum of Antique Shipping, I think it is. Now, mind you, I've never built a boat, but I have done every piece of what they're talking about with the tools. Not as boats, but as far as a lot of these, like the houses that I showed you. I've been able to do every part of that actually with the original tools that they would have been, well, not originals, replicas. But that was part of living in Washington State. You live in the middle of a forest and everybody is into that. They call it hippie stuff, but really these guys are living in the middle of a city that's got a forest pretty much everywhere throughout it. Might as well, you know? Might as well. So we're gonna look up, let's see, Harold Fairhair's ship replica. We're not talking a ship replica like, something that you're gonna put on your tabletop. The dragon Harold Fairhair. Is that a crappy accent? It certainly is. Copy link address. This is a little bit more advanced. You know anything about hand tools? You can learn pretty easily how to make all of the Viking tools. So there you go, and you're welcome for that. They actually sailed that thing across a few oceans already. Now this one right here, you are not gonna build with your entire family. It's too big of a ship and requires too many people and too many skills, but it's beautiful. And the wooden skills that are required in this were also used for smaller ships like the Lebel, or even smaller ships than that. Like there were some ships that were 20 feet wide. They were pretty small. Some of those old ones, the smaller ships built with these same techniques, they could easily be built by a family of five. And, well, as long as you already had the wood aged, which you wouldn't start a year ahead of time on something like this, um, you'd go up there and build it with your family in less than a year. No joke. Matter of fact, if you had extended family, I mean, you're going to have a crew on a boat like that. So I wouldn't attempt it. It's just good information to know, but you can build something small for one or two people that are manageable. Plus, you can look up how some of the modern sailing rigs are, and you can learn about they got these big round plates, and on the very edge of the plate, they have a hole that's drilled in it, and in the center of the plate, it's welded to a rod, and that rod helps to control a lot of the ropes, and you turn it round in circles, control where the ropes go, and it allows one person, as long as they know what they're doing, to control an entire ship. And it's pretty cool stuff to learn. The Hermione here was, of course, famous for the Revolutionary War and brought over one of our greatest heroes. Here's these guys are really cool. I just love these dudes. Copy link address. It says Jungle Survival. That's what they're called, and it's not even always the same two guys, but it's two people who work together. They build most of this stuff in just a matter of days, sometimes in just a day. And I would recommend looking at all of their stuff. That's all over here in the live chat on the side. Oh, my chin itches. Guns get you killed. Just having a weapon gives people an excuse in their own minds. And that excuse in their own minds is good enough for them to go destroying your good name. The other thing is, once your good name has been destroyed, people can do whatever they want to you. You don't have to do anything wrong. Sometimes growing up in the wrong place is good enough. If your parents were both on drugs, you probably had it pretty rough. If one of your parents was dead, you probably had it pretty rough. A lot of parents couldn't keep their hands to themselves, am I right? Fucking course I am. I'm watching these airsoft things and looking into that. There's a lot of stuff that I want to learn that is not airsoft related. I also believe that this is something that, even with the social distancing, people can get into. I know a lot of people who have airsoft in the area already, and they have all fucking shot me. All of the people I know who own airsoft pistols have shot me with them. Assholes. But that's the problem with having the tool. If you've been taught that a tool is to be misused in such a way, then the temptation is too much for you. We got a lot of police officers today who are like that, but they're also protected. Years and years of bad laws that make it okay to victimize the victim. Plus, they have a whole team of lawyers that they all pay for. And those lawyers, when an officer does wrong, will do everything in their power to help that officer get off. The things that were done to me were insanely wrong. But even more wrong than that was that I was telling people, hey, I need help getting that evidence. There's a limited amount of time here, and they're not listening to me. They're blowing me off, and they're giving me the fucking bullshit. I need somebody here in person for once. I had a guardian ad litem for, I want to say, like 23 days. She was supposed to make sure that my rights weren't violated. Since I was technically a minor by Nebraska standards. So as soon as we went into court, they asked to have me emancipated so that they could charge me as an adult. They didn't bother to tell me that ahead of time. They always got a bad habit of leaving stuff out that's important. There are people that I do trust with a firearm, not very many. That's because most people have this crazy lunacy about firearms. They're like their battle plan is to walk down the street with a fucking AR-15 or an AK-47, and I'm like, holy shit, dude, no, absolutely not. I've been buying a lot of stuff to get off in the wilderness and get the fucking hell away from people. I'd like to get some property to do that on. There's a lot of people with PTSD, and I know quite a few of them. All the people that would be there would be people that I would invite personally. I need help getting the land. I get disability, so I can use that money every month to pay somebody, but I don't have the credit to do it myself. Trying to get a bank account is impossible. All this stuff, I got to find a way around. There's other stuff like let's say let's say you got plastic bottles all over the place. All right, polyethylene terephthalate. Well, looks like Wikipedia has it a little bit different from what I learned. Nope, it's about right, but I was incorrect. The melting point is 500 degrees Fahrenheit or 260 degrees Celsius. I had thought it was 260 degrees Fahrenheit, and that is my mistake. However, that's not difficult to achieve. Also put the density here. You know what that is? That's your plastic soda bottles that are all over the fucking place. You keep remelting them, remelting them, and remelting them, and it's fucking not good. You throw them away, and that's also not good. These things can be used for a lot of different stuff. But imagine you made Legos but bigger, and instead of having them so that you got them knobs on the top, you make a dovetail groove. Just slide them some bitches into each other. Please. You fill it with whatever you want. Basically, it'd be like making it with coolers that you could slide together. Then you could make something modular. Imagine you stack a whole bunch of those coolers end to end. Well, now you got yourself a pontoon for a catamaran or a trimaran. Let's see. If you're interested in this stuff and you think it's pretty cool, you might be able to make an entire future about it. Um, ah, copy link address. When I say that if I built this place, that anybody who I invited, I would build for them a tea house. There are many ways to make a tea house, and they're no slouch. It's better than a tent by far. Also, they're specifically designed so that it's not easy to get in there with a sword. So, that's an added measure of safety. On a traditional tea house, the door on it isn't very big and you have to crouch to get in. That bows your head. It shows trust as you go into the tea house that there isn't going to be a weapon in there. Because what you're doing is giving whoever's in there a perfect target for your neck. It's your tea house. You want to extend onto it, you just use it for the coat room for the intro to your house. I don't care how you build your house. If you want to bring in an RV and live in that, that's cool. If you want to just live in a tent and use the extra area to have a garden of your own, because there does need to be some sort of food there being grown. But even if it's desolate rock, there's ways to do it. Ain't no joke. Um, what I looked up is how to make a Japanese villa, which is actually pretty cool. But it doesn't have any of them on here. Ah, copy link address. This one right here is, oh, of course, traditional. And then there is Todd's stuff. Copy link address. This guy teach you how to hunt. Well, how to make tools to hunt with. For me, what he has in this video is crossbow, medieval. He shows you how to make the 11th century hunting crossbow. It's for birds. You might have difficulties getting a rabbit with it, but you can scale it up. A villa is basically a house, but the backyard is a garden, and it's got a little bit higher walls, and they come in at an angle so that the rain that comes off the roof goes into your garden. That's a villa. The Japanese had them, the Chinese had them, the Greeks had them, the Romans had them. Matter of fact, Roman fort was basically designed after a villa. No joke. Let's see. A lot of people have had this non-traditional view of villas. Some of the American villas are not. It's not a villa. It's basically an apartment overhanging somebody else's crap. It's stupid. Um, oh man. Basically, the version in modern day is that it's a fucking townhouse. Screw these idiots. That's what they're making. Townhouses. So I guess we're gonna have to do is instead of looking that up, we're gonna have to look at a traditional a traditional Roman villa. That'll work. First, copy link address. This is a virtual Roman house. It's only 3 minutes long and it's actually pretty cool. It's a little bit too fucking gaudy for me. Whatever. But I like art, and it's just a little much. However, it is a beautiful house. And it is also modeled after an actual house in Pompeii. This one right here is, God, these are all, they only want to show the ones that the super rich people's had. That's just nuts. Oh, hold on a second. This is just really cool. It's building skill. They're similar to the, like, well, you just have to take a look at it. They're building a small house that looks like it would go somewhere like possibly Dagobah or I don't know, somewheres that's swampy. It's pretty cool looking. Um, the reason that I like this stuff, the reason that I learned it, is because I like working with my hands. I like building things. I like solutions, and when people are mean, I like to be able to get away from them. When people get the wrong idea, I'd like to be able to get away from them. When people are victimizing me, I want to be able to get away from them. But there are certain things that you're not allowed to get away from. People have to tell the truth. But how do you get them in court when everybody's doing everything they can to prevent that from happening? They're doing everything they can to make excuses not to investigate any of the harm. A lot of these people claim that they tried. I think Ms. Peaches tried hard as fuck. She just didn't try to speak. Not hard enough. She told me I didn't try hard enough. Pretty fucked up. But she's also somebody that I still give a shit about. And I don't give a fuck if she wants to be pissed off that I told the whole goddamn world. Or rather, that she told the whole goddamn world. She thought she was just telling me. I shouldn't have had to do that. She should have tried harder to tell those things in court because I was fucking trying hard. I've got a lot more experience at building stuff modern day. Oh God. Oh my God. I just thought of the coolest thing. We're gonna skip over the Roman villa. Well, actually, this right here, kind of the copy link address is just a walkthrough. A lot of the ones in Pompeii, you can see them playing in clear night as day. They're beautiful. So maybe I'll find an image of Pompeii from the top. By the way, you can make these out of cob, you can make them out of bamboo, you can make them out of wood. Let's see. Oh, drone footage. Cool. If you can look at them from the top, you see the ones where there's grass in the center and then a building attached and a wall around it. Let me click on this picture. See, copy link address. This is the excavations of Pompeii revealed. It's just, oh damn, it's too long. I'm sorry, folks. The link address is too long to have it here, and I do apologize for that. Polyethylene terephthalate, that's your bottles. If you break them down, they're excellent. If you want to use them for insulation, they actually work excellent for that as well. Oh my god. There's got to be, let me see if this will work. Backspace. All right, perfect. And then there's of course the ideas of many things. We've got the leftovers of a lot of old chariots, and I've learned a lot about those as well, but I'm more interested in them as lightweight carts. Lightweight travel that's a little bit safer, possibly using that technology to use them. Well, we have dogs. Some of you guys have breeds of dogs that you got no fucking clue how to deal with. If you can't afford to jog 5 miles a day, you probably shouldn't have the breed that you got in many cases. Dogs are one of the few animals, and it's specific breeds, of course, but they're one of the few animals that can run for almost 20 hours straight. That's fucking insane. Can you imagine running for 20 hours straight? But I don't believe in having an animal as a beast of burden. I believe in having an animal as an extension of my family. All of the animals that I've lost, I wish that I could get them back. I wish that I hadn't been locked up and I could have kept Smokey, but it wasn't my fault. My mom couldn't stay off the cocaine. That cannot be blamed on me. And the shit that I went through as a result of people's assumptions, once you're in the system, you're fucking locked in. My education has been to get the hell away from people and basically focusing on survival skills. All these guys are learning how to try to be the best shot with firearms and rifles and shit. I have this here. It's pepper spray. And a lot of people they watch that Steven Seagal movie in the 90s where they're on the train, uh, Under Siege, or maybe it was Under Siege 2. It was one of them two, where she sprays the dude with the pepper spray, and she tells him it's mace, and he just fucking shrugs it off. Yeah, it's not easy to shrug it off. That's not a joke. It's not easy to shrug off. When I didn't have the money to get mace, I got a 88-cent Walmart pistol instead, and I used my food stamps to get, and I had to scrape and scrounge for the change to get it, by the way. But I was able to come up with the 88 cents and all that, and I got myself that little water pistol, and with my food stamps, I got the jalapenos, and I got pickled jalapenos. But I figured, you know what? It's better than nothing. I ain't got pepper spray. People are assaulting me, and a lot of these people have real guns. You know what it's like when you're trying to tell people about real, true, and imminent danger, and they treat you like you're fucking crazy. And then people end up dead, and then they try to fucking ignore you. Or they try to make some excuse why it's your fault. They treated you like you were a goddamn animal. Or just didn't give a fuck at all and said they didn't. If you're an officer who doesn't care about the public, you shouldn't be an officer. My education was to learn how to get the fuck away from you while at the same time leaving you something fucking decent. And there's a few videos in here where I show some of the notebooks and stuff that I had from the jails. There was so many times that they just, you got no idea what it's like. Like they try to torture you into fucking committing suicide, and they fucking make fun of you, and fucking, you try to write reports, you try to turn them in, and they absolutely refuse. I asked them assholes that were, when they finally had a couple of officers come in Arapahoe County and finally, say that they were gonna take a report from me. By the way, they did this in Larimer County too. They told me that they had somebody who was gonna finally take a report from me after all this time of going, hey, my rights are fucking being shat on left, right, and fucking center here. What the hell? But no, it was a disciplinary because I had been trying to write a report against those officers. And I said, hey, why didn't you look into it? Or did you look into it? Well, no, we didn't, and we're not gonna. I said, why not? Well, we trust our officers. Oh my God. That's how you get an officer who's got a 27-year career before he ever gets busted raping somebody. How many complaints do you think that police officer had before that? How many homeless people did he do that to before that? Homeless people that nobody's ever going to listen to. All right, it's all paid for by your tax dollars. I'm just trying to get the hell out of here. And I'd like to. There's all these rules and regs and stipulations, and I cannot take care of myself. That's the most fucked up part. Where am I going to go? The rules and regulations for getting government help when you're broke are basically, well, it's like being a fucking kid who's fucking grounded. But they give you free money. Is it really free? You guys are paying for that too. They used your taxpayer dollars to harm me a fucking lot. Now, when I hurt my back, that's not anybody's fault. That's just one of them things where it happens. And there were people who were there and they didn't get hurt, thank goodness. Messed up part is I didn't even know I was hurt until the next day. I mean, that day it fucking hurt. It was like it knocked the fucking air out of me, and it fucking hurt. Yeah. But I've also been interested my whole life in trying to help people. Even when I was in that hateful period during high school. You know what happened during high school? Chapel, Nebraska fucking happened. I couldn't understand why there was so much hatred toward black people and Mexican people and homosexuals. Most of the people who had actually protected me in my life were trained, blacks, Mexicans, and homosexuals. And I come here and everybody hates them. When I was in the system, I had to deal with a lot of fucking racism. But I understood where it came from. Because autism doesn't mean retarded. When you're in that system, you know why those kids are fucking angry. You're in fucking group therapy with these kids every goddamn day. And then you have a very structured school class with them every fucking day. You go to the fucking sexual abuse group fucking therapy thing. They stop that though. They always do. They call it one thing, but when kids are telling their stories about why they're in there, I tried telling them my fucking dad. No, we're focusing on why you're here. You're here because you tried to commit suicide. No, I fucking scraped myself with a lady pick. Because I tried to tell my mom and she wouldn't fucking listen. So I went upstairs and I fucking smacked that shit on the counter, and I didn't even cut myself with the razor part. I scraped my wrist with the fucking broken part because I was so frustrated I didn't even know how to get it off of there. Because mind you, some of these girls are 11, 12 years old, sometimes younger. They're there because they tried to commit suicide. They'll never be allowed to own a firearm. Not legally, anyway. It wasn't legal for Ted Bollinger to have a gun, or Natalie Bollinger to have a gun, or me to have a gun. And guess what? I was the only one who did not have a fucking gun. I've got people who send me pictures of their fucking guns all the goddamn time. I am totally down with the Second Amendment, but I'm not down with fucking gun-toting goddamn idiots. If you threaten people with your fucking gun, you should no longer have the right to have a gun. Plain and fucking simple. If you're gonna use it. Don't talk about it, be about it. Don't be a bitch, bitch. You threatened to kill me, you got 3 days before I turn it into the cops. 3 days to keep your fucking word. As long as I'm still breathing, I'm gonna speak out. Nobody should be treated like this. You know, my castle idea. It's basically a Roman marching fort, but instead of building it one night with 100 people and taking it back down in the morning with 100 people, you put it up once, you start growing some trees on the walls, you grow some blackberry bushes in the ditch that you dug up to make the walls with. You're not doing anything fancy. You're not trying to make mud bricks. And people are like, yeah, you can't do that. It's going to cost millions of dollars. I'm like, no, it's made out of the fucking dirt that it's sitting on. Are you fucking kidding me? Hell, back when I ran a shovel, I was fucking good at it. And I know people who have told me, hey, man, if you get the land, I'll fucking show up. A lot of these people, like Sean Jefferson and Case Morris, they know how to do that shit too. They spent their whole lives doing it. Yes, I know how to build a lot of modern shit with modern materials. That is where most of my experience is. However, I got a lot of experience up in the woods too. I got a lot of experience with actual survival skills. And although I'm not much of a fisherman and I don't really like fishing, I do like fish and I do know how to fish. Most of the other skills that I got, they're passable enough that if there's something that happens, it's not like taking one day out of my life. When there's 365 days out of the year, and there's 24 hours in every day, it's not a terrible thing for me to spend 4 hours a day to learn something, and another 4 hours to apply it myself to make sure that I retain the information. As long as I get hands-on experience, I remember it. A lot of times when I'm learning something, I'll put it together and take it apart, and put it together and take it apart, and put it together and take it apart. Make sure that I have that visual memory. Usually it only takes me 1 or 2 tries, but with this computer shit, it is so fucking complicated. I'm getting it to work though. Oh, anyway, it's 6 a.m. I'm gonna try to lay down and get some rest. Maybe in my next video, I'll try to educate you a little on autism by linking you to videos of people who are actually autistic, not your stereotypes. I'm not a medical definition.